I think the VA, and to be honest with you, majority of those against VA claims companies, and I'm against them, but I think they are missing the point and are looking at these companies as the problem instead of investigating and taking ownership of what led to the symptom of the VA claim company. Not the problem, the symptom that these companies are, at least in my opinion. Now, food for thought, I'm no fan of these companies by any measure. However, if the VA is going to solve this problem, they first have to understand what the problem is in the first place. Now, we have the VBA's Office of Communication releasing a news story or statement, wherever you want to call it, warning veterans against these so-called claim predators. And we'll get to that here in a second. But first, we need to understand these companies and look at the facts. And here's the VA news that we're going to look at. But I want to look at the facts first. So first, these companies have helped an untold amount of veterans. And if I had to guess how many, the number is probably over 2 million, if not closer to 3 million. I have no data for that. I'm just looking at the numbers and the claims that these companies process. Yes, they have helped veterans. Absolutely. And even if, it's not for sure yet, even if fraud is involved, I'm willing to bet, and I'm really hoping that's a very small percentage of that, where majority of veterans are just going to these companies for help. The second thing I want to look at is that help does come at a huge cost. That's also a fact. And prices vary depending on if you're working with some dude on the internet or a company that has been well established that charges 5 times, 6 times the increase, whatever that looks like. 3 is these companies are successful. Hate them or love them, doesn't matter. They are successful. And I would urge the VA and VSOs to look at how they became successful outside of fraud, obviously, and replicate what it means to submit a fully developed claim. That's why these companies are successful, is because they are submitting fully developed claims with private Nexus letters, private DBQs, all the bells and whistles for that claim. And number 4, these companies have nothing to do with private Nexus letters and private DBQs. There are private Nexus letter providers and private DBQ providers that do just that. And then there are companies. Companies have aligned themselves. Okay. You can see in the description here, there's 3 companies that pay a fee for the ad space. Okay. Nothing is wrong with Nexus letters and DBQs. That is absolutely solid evidence. And that's over here. Somehow there's this misconception that if I want a private Nexus or a private DBQ, I must go through a company. And at that point, you're just paying the middleman. That's the consultation service there. And side note, if you look at fraud, it's really the implications of consulting and getting paid based on the veteran's rating and the relationship between the consultation and that IMO DBQ provider. That gets into the alteration of those DBQs, which was reported in an OIG report of January of 2024. I'm going to leave that video in the comments. I'm not even going to elaborate on that, but that's what it's getting at. It's not targeting private Nexus letters and private DBQs because those are absolutely solid evidence. And I don't know why VSOs can't replicate that relationship. Riddle me that, okay? Anyways, there are many other reasons I can talk all day about these companies, but let's go ahead and read this article and I'll give you my 2 cents. So here we go. Beware of claims predators. You do not need to pay anyone to receive your benefits. That's true, okay? VA urges veterans to use only VA accredited representatives and be on the lookout for aggressive claims predators. Now, you know my stance on this. I am a fan of VSOs. Are they perfect? Obviously not. But in my ideal picture perfect claim, the veteran educates and informs themselves. They understand what they want to submit. They have all the evidence. They do that prior to even meeting with the VSO. And the VSO is there to simply submit the claim and be that veteran's advocate. That's my personal picture perfect way to submit a claim. But let's go ahead and look at this. Beware, claims predators want to prey on your benefits. August 9th of 2024. All right, have you noticed advertisements? Yes, targeted advertisements are everywhere. We see ReMedical on all kinds of other platforms, not just Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. But if I open up my homepage on Edge, I can almost bet my life there's going to be a ReMedical ad. Now, that's just one company. Now, they are mainly Nexus letters and DBQs, okay, but there is a consultation service hidden in there, and that's what I'm really getting at here. But you'll see companies all over with advertisements. We see a lot of advertisements from VA Claims Insider, a lot of ads from Veterans Guardian, a lot of ads from, your mom and pop company, everything. Most veterans are getting VA healthcare and benefits than ever before, which also presents opportunities for scammers to commit fraud against veterans and their families. That part is also true, like it or not. These increased benefits have led to a rise in shady companies and individuals that are not accredited by the VA, offering claims assistance services and charging hefty fees when they do. Also true. That's a fact. You can hate it or not. That does not matter. That is a fact. This expansion of benefits has also attracted individuals and companies who are misleading veterans to think it's okay to exaggerate disability symptoms in order to get higher disability ratings. That's also a fact. We absolutely see that all the time, even on YouTube. Okay. You have to have evidence. Evidence is king. You have to have medical evidence. VA refers to these companies and individuals as claims predators. These claim predators are not accredited by the VA. They are known to aggressively prey on veterans' benefits through various channels such as mail, telephone, or online platforms. They try to take advantage of veterans and their beneficiaries by using high-pressure tactics, sharing misleading information, and making false promises to convince veterans to sign up for the services. Also fact. Unfortunately, these services come at a high cost to veterans with little to no actual benefits. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but it basically says use a VA accreditation and stay informed, okay? Now, my 2 cents on the whole article is, yes, so I'm not a fan of claims predators, claims sharks, VA disability claims companies, whatever you want to call them. I'm not a fan, but they have served their purpose, and it would be ignorant of the VA and VSOs and people like myself. I'm a nobody. I'm just here on YouTube, opening my mouth. But you really have to look at why these companies were successful and offer that as a option to the veteran. If you're going to take away VA claims companies, then you need to offer that in return. At least that's my opinion. Now, why is the VA making articles and doing OIG reports instead of going after these companies? This is way over my head, but from what I understand of how the federal government works, it's probably due to 2 reasons. That is authorities. So the authority to prosecute, and then funding. Authorities and funding are really going to hold back federal entities when it comes to pretty much anything and everything. And until that changes, until litigation happens, whether the VA is able to prosecute and then sue and litigate in a court of law, or you have various other litigations like the Texas Attorney General, until those are final and we have verdict, none of this matters. And the only thing that does matters is that final decision. So that's what we're going to be waiting for if it ever happens.